and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Dome. I'm your humble leader, Jordan Brennan. With me for the very first time is our passionate pop culture purveyor. Say hi, passionate pop culture purveyor.
Hi, passionate pop culture purveyor. Ooh, that was a mouthful. That was good.
Thank you. Justin, thank you so much. This is so exciting. It's one of those things. I just discovered this today as well. Like, I think I'm following someone on TikTok, and then like something happens, and it's like, do you want to follow this person? And like, because like I followed you a while back, but I thought I'd been following you for like forever. Today it was Dice Cream Sandwich, and I was like, I've met Dice Cream Sandwich in person. What do you mean I'm not following him on TikTok? And then I was like, well, that's silly of me. Anyway, it was I've been a fan forever. I just didn't want to be like, I've been a fan forever, and you'd be like, I know when you started following me.
No, I don't pay attention to that stuff because I unfollow people a lot. I am not stingy with that button. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I don't know if this is too bad to say, but sometimes you follow someone for a long time and like you don't expect them to follow you back. And you're like, oh wait, I don't know if I want you access to friends only. You know, has that ever happened to you? You're like, oh wait.
Yes. Yeah. Periodically I'll be like, oh no, but my friends only video was actually about you, but not like in a negative way. Like I'm really excited because I'm talking to like somebody coming up and I'm like, I can't make that video. They might see it.
True. That happened with me in the Bachelor franchise.
Yes. Here we go. I'm ready on question 1. Are you ready?
Yes.
Who would be the most entertaining cast for James Gunn's DCEU? Is that what it's called? I don't know what it's called anymore. Anyway,
entertaining cast? Ooh.
No. For a Bachelorette style series.
Oh. Oh shoot! Entertaining?
I mean, whatever you want to define that as.
Okay. There's the correct answer.
Okay.
But then there's the wrong answer.
Let's do correct first because I feel like wrong is going to be more fun.
Okay, the correct answer. I'm always like, let's put butts in the seats.
Yeah.
And you got to put Wonder Woman as the Bachelorette. But here's the thing. Well, I don't know if Wonder Woman would be a fun Bachelorette because Wonder Woman. Here's the problem. The worst bachelorettes are the most put together women. And not that we want like unput together women, you know what I mean? But the people who have their lives together, who make calm, rational decisions, you know, and don't act out of anger or anything, they are great women. Sometimes they're not the best leads though. So I'm going to cut Wonder Woman. Like, I know that was my first answer. So I want someone who will have a little bit of fun, but also will make a mistake probably. So hear me out. You know, because like The Bachelor likes to do like all these like theme seasons. I'd put Zatanna as the Bachelorette.
Yeah,
that's fun. And then you could have like kind of like all different types of people from the Marvel universe, and the whole theme is magic too. Yeah. And I don't think there's anybody that like Zatanna doesn't get along with. So she would be a fun time. She's a show. It'd be a Vegas season. Oh, ooh, beautiful. Like, I would love that. The wrong answer is someone horrible. Like, the wrong answer, like, a bad answer would probably be someone like Poison Ivy because everyone would already like her. One smooching, you're done.
Yeah.
But as someone who like a bad bachelorette, someone who would be really, really bad at it, Hawk Girl. This is a little bit not too niche, but like sometimes a combative bachelorette is a good thing. Someone to call the guys on their shit, you know?
And also, at some point, her reincarnated spouse would show up, and then she would no longer be interested in anybody else that was there.
Exactly. She would end the show early, and you're like, that would be like, a bad show,
right?
You know,
right. Her whole deal, they have to get back together.
Exactly, that's a bad show, but I would want to see it though. I that's good television though. And then you would bring in someone that she's actually compatible with, like a Jon Stewart or somebody, and then the whole season is, will she get back together with her ex? That's a bad answer, but I want to see it. You know.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. I don't have a way to transition out of it. Because I know very little about Bachelor or Bachelorette world.
Really?
Yeah,
You'd
I don't.
like it. I feel
I'm
like you're the type
sure.
of guy that like it, you know?
I have so many things I'm already behind on. I don't know how to add. Like, people have asked me to watch Housewives, specifically Salt Lake City, and like I want to do Salt Lake City because it feels like I could. Because I tried to start. Here's the thing: I'm obsessed with Larsa Pippen, but dating Marcus Jordan. It's my favorite thing in the entire world because it makes no sense.
Right.
Because it's Scottie Pippen's ex-wife dating Michael Jordan's son. It's like, wait, no, hold on.
Yeah, it's weird. A little too weird.
He might have been at your first wedding. But like so I started Miami, and it's so long ago. Like they've been doing it for so long, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to watch 10 years of this. Like this
Oh.
is a nightmare. But Salt Lake City's only a couple of years in. Anyway, this is all me saying, how do I find more time to watch more things? I don't.
True story. I'm really bad at being like, you should watch this, you should watch that, you know? And like half the time I know these people aren't gonna watch it, but like I consume so much, like half my job is just consuming media. So I'm like, you need to get on the next this, that, and the other. So I feel bad for always recommending things to people, you know, but I'm not on the Real Housewives train.
Yeah.
Like the whole Bravo train, stuff like that. I'm not on that. That seems like a dip too far for me.
Look,
That's like a lot of time, you
if
know?
you fall in, it's it's the rest of your life because it's just
Exactly.
constant.
Exactly.
But you are a host of a podcast that talks these kinds of things. Still
True.
Scrolling. You guys are killing it. Tell me about Still Scrolling.
Okay, here's the thing. Have you ever been scared that you're going to lose your following overnight? Well, let me tell you, it's terrifying. So, like, a bunch of me and Steph and Derek were talking, like, we need to, as a creator, you should be diversifying your digital footprint anyway, so that if something happens, like a national government wants to take away your job, have something to fall back on or have a
That would
revenue.
never happen, though.
It can never happen until it happened for
Yeah.
12 hours, you know?
Yes.
And then you delete the app and you're like, it's gone forever. And then it comes back and you can't re-download it.
Yeah.
But still scroll, like I have way too many opinions about pop culture. So I wanted to start a podcast with two of my creator friends about it, you know? And it's like, there's never a good time to start a podcast. So you just kind of have to start. Who am I talking about? You already know this. You know what I mean? Like all the self-doubt of like, do we need another podcast? I mean, like all this stuff, you know? And I was like, as if I want to keep doing this for a living or like keep opening opportunities for myself, I have not have to, but I have to put my foot into this world, right? And back in the day, I did have a little bachelor podcast, you know, with David Chen and Deja, and we had such a good time, you know what I mean? And then Deja like moved away, and so we had to stop. But I still have way too many opinions that don't fit in the 1 to 3 minutes. You know what I mean? And I love talking about pop culture and I love giving a hot take about stuff, especially movies and television. You know, it's like half the reason people follow me. So I need to start a podcast. And then we started the podcast. The end.
I mean, look, yeah, like you said, there's never a good time.
Never
but
a good time.
It's always worse times to start a podcast is delaying it at all. You have to start it. If you wait any amount of time, it's going to be worse because there will be a new podcast that fills the space that you want. I started this silly little interview show like a year and a half ago. And yeah, it was mostly like interview and Dropout folks. And then all of a sudden Dropout got really, really popular. And now I have to compete with like real news outlets. And it's like,
Interesting.
I'm like, well, I'm glad I made contacts when I did, and that I'm not trying to build this now, when, you know, they just sold out Madison Square Garden to play D&D. But yes.
Dude, can I ask you like in the weeds questions about this?
Absolutely, yes.
We followed each other for so long, but also when you're mutuals, you rarely have an opportunity to actually talk. to
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
Actually have sit down conversations with people. So I'm like, do you ever do you are you grateful or do you regret being the dropout person?
Ooh, I mean,
You know what I mean?
it's a bit, it is definitely, I know what you mean, because it's both. I'm incredibly grateful, but then every once in a while, I look at like the follower count, and I'm like, okay, I want to talk about something else. And when I do, it's gonna get 500 views. Like it's gonna be
Mm,
like it's gonna be just nothing. And I'm like, well, but if I want to, like, because I want to talk about comic books. I like comic books a lot,
right.
and then I'll talk about like the Fantastic Four trailer, and you know, it's like 1,000 views or whatever, and I'm like, I mean, is this gonna really be worth my time to try to do
Right.
this? Because like if I'm telling no one, hey, I really like this thing, is that fun? But to be fair, sometimes I
True.
talk about dropout stuff and it gets 1,000 views because God only knows what TikTok wants you to do ever. Like
Right, right, right,
every
right.
once in a while, I'm like, but no, TikTok, this is exactly what I do. This is exactly what I talk about.
Like, but here's the thing though. Like, I'm always jealous of the creators that you that can talk that have the ability to talk about one thing. You know what I mean? Like in hindsight, like I feel as though I feel as though I missed the boat on the niche down of it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you bit on a niche and you are wildly successful in this niche, right? But like
Yes.
I can't do that because I feel as though the hurdle that people have to go through to get to me is myself, as opposed to drop out as an entity. Does that make any sense? You know
I
what
think
I mean?
so.
Like
Yeah.
if you are gathering people who are already talking about dropout, you have to like me to get on the train. Does that make, I don't know. I always feel like, man, if I could talk about, if I was the Star Wars guy or like the whatever guy, I feel like
Yeah.
my life would be easier, but like I'm in this now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get it. Look, look. I also look. I feel the same. It's both because there is the times when I'm like, oh, this is
Really?
great. Like I got like because you know like when you reach out to somebody trying to like do an interview or whatever who works at Dropout, being able to be like, I've interviewed Sam, and like you just list a bunch of people, and they're like, oh, okay, you seem legit, and I'm like, yeah. But you know, then if I'm trying to do anything outside of that universe, I'm like, okay, do you know who any of these people are? If not,
Mm,
you're not going to come on my show. So, but yeah,
dang.
uh,
Really?
yeah.
That's actually fascinating because like I don't know if at what point were you aware that they were paying attention to you?
I mean, it was the whole channel was paying attention to me.
But there's a I don't know
Oh no, like
there's a
there,
point where you're like,
yes.
wait, if I make a video, the likelihood of that person seeing it is extremely high in a way that I didn't before. I don't know
Yeah.
if you've
I
experienced that
mean,
too.
I wanted Sam to send. I used my son, which I don't do anymore because I had so few followers. Like I didn't feel weird about it. Now I feel very weird about like posting my son on the internet.
Hmm.
Excuse me. But my it was back when Dropout sent stickers with their merch. They don't do that anymore, which is a real bummer. And but my son knew that they sent stickers, but they also sent like a little cardboard thing that was like, "Hey, take 10% off your next order," and it had their logo on it. So my son, who was 2 at the time, maybe not even that, thought it was a sticker and was going sticker and like trying to peel it off. And so like I took a video and I was like, Sam Reich, send my son stickers. And I was like, I'm gonna make a video every day until Sam writes. Anyway, it took 2 days of making videos before Sam DM'd me, "What's your address?" And I was like, oh, that was faster than I expected. I was like, I
Oh
was
my,
kind of thinking that like this bit would kind of like trail off in like a week, and I would stop
right.
making these videos. But yeah, that one was wild. It's always weird. But yeah, then like Abria made a video yelling at me, and that like really changed everything. Because then I was like, oh, there's going to be a big focus on me right now. But yeah, those were probably 8 months apart. Like one would have been in like March, one would have been in like October of 2023, I guess. Yeah, because I did all
Whoa.
interviews all of 2024. My brain is now trying to remember how long I've been doing this. But yeah, It was, that was, all of it was weird. But yes, at some point I realized, like, speaking of, like, like, setting it to, like, friends only, I'm like, well, I can't really make a video about this because a lot of people from Dropout follow me on here. So I'll
Which is
keep
true.
I'll keep negative opinions to myself. To be fair, I don't typically post a lot of things where I'm like, I don't like this thing,
Right.
because, like, what am I doing if I'm doing, like, I don't have enough time to, like, listen to and watch things that I don't enjoy, as long as they're
True.
not hurting anybody.
True. You
Yeah,
know what's like what surprises me the most? Like with working with brands and stuff like that, like my like Clark Kent day job is like working with brands on their social media. How aware or they I didn't expect them to be listening.
yeah,
Brands and also celebrities and also like big influencers, they do see your videos. Off
yeah,
like 99% of the time they see what you're saying about that, which is like terrifying, but
right,
also like we are way closer than we think, you know?
yeah,
Like way closer in like a not scary way, but like these are actual real human beings. Like I said before, like with the Bachelor people. Like when I was making like Bachelor content and like what was it? The ultimatum content, they were watching the videos. They were hyper aware. You know what I mean? Especially if someone hasn't had like celebrity before or like a big following before. Hyper aware in a way. Oh, okay.
yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think as the group think can forget that sometimes, you know? So if I wanted to be like, Brennan Lee Mulligan, da 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 da, you know, there is a chance that it
Pretty
makes
good
it
chance.
a pretty
Yeah.
good chance,
Yeah.
terrifyingly so. Just nuts, you know?
Yeah, it's very strange. Yeah, I mean, it was like, because I talked to Brennan pretty recently, and he had recognized me at Gen Con, but at the same moment that he recognized me, roughly 1,000 people in this room at this party recognized him, and he, like, ran away in terror because, that's what that is for I think the rest of his life. Is
Mm-hmm.
walking into a room of nerds and being like, oh no, do I want to try and do this, or do I run away because I'm about to be surrounded?
I wonder if he can like go to the grocery store. I
I
wonder how famous
Yeah,
he actually is.
I
Like,
have to
and
imagine once you get outside of that circle, it's
right,
like occasional, like probably like one person at a grocery store is like, hey, I know you, instead of like every single person in the room like clocks you immediately and is like, that's someone that I have to pitch my podcast to because I gotta
right.
shoot my shot. You don't, by the way. You don't have to shoot your shot every time you see someone. Um, that's my big takeaway from celebrity.
Here's
You
the
don't have
thing.
to shoot your shot.
Here's the thing. I the last Gen Con I went to, I almost met Brennan Lee Mulligan, and I didn't. Can I tell this story on here?
Yes,
Because
please.
I didn't meet Brennan Lee Mulligan.
Hey,
But
I also didn't meet him at Gen Con. He ran away.
but okay, so we were in a group of people, right? And I was just out with a group of people the last night, right? And I was with this guy. He was like this tall. Actually, I'm not going to describe him. And he he made a point of growling in other women's ears, right? I was like, that's kind of weird. But anyways, and so we had a kind of conversation. We're all in this internet space and stuff like that. And Brennan Lee Mulligan walks into the bar, right? And I'm like, oh shit. It's oh my gosh, this guy's pretty cool, right? Okay, so and he was talking to the guy that I was talking about before. I was like, great. I can introduce myself, and then so I like walk in. The guy sees me coming and just body blocks me. And like he puts his arm on the bar like, so and I was like,
Oh, I don't like
and
that at
so I
all.
stood there with my drink for 5 minutes waiting for them to introduce me. I'm like, oh, cool. And Brendan had to go.
Yeah.
So Brendan Lee Mulligan does not remember that interaction, but I do. And I was like, yep, that's me. That's my luck. You know, it's cool. Fine, it's fine. I didn't
That's
cry myself to sleep about it. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's
No,
cool.
that's super cool. Super cool and super normal about it. I had people try to do that to me at this most recent Gen Con.
Body block you?
Yeah, with Taylor Moore, who is the producer for Worlds Beyond Number. And Taylor had specifically reached out so that we could hang out at this party. And I don't know if people didn't. Obviously, people couldn't have known that. But like, they really tried to like put their body between like me and Taylor, and then Taylor would be like, "What do you think about that, Jordan?" Like, would turn the conversation back to me.
Look at you.
And I was like, yeah. Yeah, it was also very fun because like these people would come up to Taylor because they're like, "You're a big deal," and then they'd be like, "And Jordan, you're also here, and I don't know or care about you." And then someone would come up to me, and I not trying to brag, but like people would come up to me to be like, "Hey, I'm such a huge fan," to me, and then suddenly those people who didn't care that I existed are like, "Wait, what do you do?" And I was like, "I host an interview show about TTRPGs. What were you just saying about the Actual Play podcast that you're trying to pitch to Taylor Moore?" And then they'd be like, "Oh, you should get my card." I'm like, "Oh, should I get your card now? Like now that you've realized that like other people in this space care about me? Cool.
Oh my gosh, this is so validating. I mean, not validating because I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy because Gen Con is probably the most, how do I say this?
Los Angeles style crowd.
Yes.
Yeah,
for sure. I did not expect it. Like truly, I was like, am I invisible? Was I an asshole to these people? Did I say something wrong? Like, what is happening? Like Gen Con and that space was so, I don't want to say like looking thirst, not I don't want to say thirsting, but very at work, very a work event,
yes,
you know?
Yes.
So I'm like, damn, I thought we were friends. Like people who I had been on podcast with would not address me. And I was like, what the hell is happening? Completely ignored me. I was like, are you kidding? I don't know. I was like, I felt like a leper. I was like, this is how Tiny Tim felt, man. Like, dang, no one wants to talk to me. Like, this is awful, man.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know what about it. Maybe it's because I wasn't expecting it from like the quote unquote nerd community.
Right. Yes.
You know, because like this is, I don't want to shit talk, but like we all like we're a part of a community. We have to do this, that, and the other. But like when it comes to like the big names in the room, all bets are off. Really?
Yeah.
Like, dang, we can't have a conversation. You can't say hi. Like, very weird. I did not expect that. I don't know.
It is very strange. I'll also say, like, I because like the McElroys were at a party that I was at. They're very nice and they talked to a bunch of people. But like, had I gone up to them and been like, "Hey, I want to interview you for my podcast," they would have been like, "Okay." Like they were busy doing other things, but I did talk to their handler, and so this is, of course they do. Like they're famous enough for that. Like so, like gang, if you're out, like you got to find the assistants. That's who you got to make friends with. You don't pitch your thing to the stars. It's in and out. They've got 30 pitches they heard that day. You find an assistant, you befriend them, which. That sounds more nefarious than it is. I also just enjoy talking to people, but yeah.
And the McElroys take my show, pitch myself though. I don't pitch myself. I don't mention what I do for work at all. Like, well, because I believe that you got to build a relationship. You just have to have your name, and then once you build that relationship, you can be like, hey, by the way, I have this, that, and the other. Like, last time I was at San Diego. Actually, I don't think I've told this story to you. But yeah, okay. So last time I was at San Diego, I swore I would never make a TikTok about this because I wanted to keep it to myself, you know? Like it was such a special moment. So last time I was at San Diego, I got invited to my first after party, right? And I've never been to an after party before. And unfortunately, I couldn't like bring my friends in. So I was like going alone and I was very scared and very nervous because I've never been there alone. And so the Uber drops me off at one of the entrances, and it's like the wrong entrance of the hotel. And I was like, oh man, I'm already looking bad. So I go to the second exit, and there's like this older man, and his group of friends also went to the wrong entrance. And I was walking with them, and they're like, better luck on the next corner, right? And so I was like, okay. And we're like talking like on the way on the corner and stuff like that. And so I don't know who these people are. They just seem like nice people, right? And so we finally get to the entrance, and I just kind of like follow them because they seem like they know where they're going to the special line. And so we're talking and stuff like that, and the guy's complimenting my Star Wars jacket and stuff. And like they all get wristbands, and he's like, "Oh, give him one too." And I was like, "Okay, I guess he needed a wristband to get in this party." And so we're walking in, and someone's like, "Bro, I love your stuff. It's amazing." And I was like, "I'm sorry, wait, what? I'm what? Okay, that was kind of weird." Is he like, "Oh, okay, that was weird." And then we're walking to the elevator, and that happens again. And I was like, "That's weird." But okay, all right. And so we had to go in a different elevator, right? So I'm like, wait a minute. The people come out the elevator and like, oh, you're whoa, I love that show, man. And he's like, thanks. And I was like, okay, are you like famous or something? Because I legitimately did not know this guy was. And he's like, one of his friends like elbows me, and he's like, that's Dan Harmon, you know. Dan Harmon, who? Rick and Morty. Oh, what? And they all had all had a laugh, you know, about it. They're like, "Oh, you don't know who?" I'm so sorry. I don't know what the writer of Rick and Morty looked like or the writer of Community. I'm so sorry, but now I do, right? And because he had given me a wristband, he had like we went to a different section than everyone else, right? And like by the end of the party, I'm like, was this some kind of joke? Because they were nice. They were completely like not creepy or whatever. They gave me their drinks, free drinks and stuff like that. I was like, why did you do this? And he's like, well, you're the only person that treated us like a human being. You know what I mean? Like you didn't have to like you weren't trying to like sell us anything. You were just having a conversation about Star Wars, right? I was like, oh, dang it, did I miss my opportunity? Well, also, like, I was just a nice guy. I didn't have to be, quote unquote, Freddie's roommate trying to sell his TikTok. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, I will never forget that. Though, like, one of the nicest people ever. And I was like, damn, all because I literally did not know who this man was. Like, I feel like, and if I ever see him again, he'll be like, hey, it's the guy with the Star Wars jacket. I don't have to, like, I don't know, pitch myself. I don't know.
Be like, hey, I'm the guy with the Star Wars jacket that thinks you're just a normal human being.
He looked like a normal human guy.
Yeah,
like,
no, I know what Dan Harmon looks like. So if I didn't know what he looks like, be right there with you. Be like, yeah, a normal human man.
I felt so embarrassed too. Yeah. Like, all right, okay.
Yeah, I'll do my well, so first of all, I wanted to give a shout out to Haley Whipjack because that party that I was talking about that Brennan went to, I was Taylor Morse +1 and he wasn't there yet. And I didn't know. I was also like by myself, and I was like, this is terrifying. And Haley very kindly took me by the hand and like let me hang out with them and like their friends, and I was like, this is great, you're saving my life because this is terrifying.
Going to a party alone is so scary.
I think I've told this story before, I don't know where, but I was at, it was like a very newsy conference because my Clark Kent job is journalism, weirdly enough.
Oh my gosh, I used to be a journalist too. What?
And it's I met, oh no, and I've instantly forgotten his last name. David Fahrenholt from the Washington Post, who won like a Pulitzer for his Trump coverage in like 2016. Anyway, I was at this conference where we had like badges, but they were only names on one side, and his had flipped around to the other side. And I was standing with someone who I knew, and she was like, hey, do you know Dave? And I was like, no. And he was like, and shook my hand. She's like, he does really cool stuff for the Washington Post. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I proceeded to be like, so what do you do at the Washington Post? Because I didn't recognize him because, you know, whatever. Anyway, he was there like signing copies of his book. Like that's why he was at the conference. And so then later I had to be like, oh no. And like I was like, God, he seemed really familiar. And then like I was like, who was that? And I was like looking at the like, and I was like, oh, That was David Fahrenholt. I just asked David Fahrenholt what he does at the Washington Post, and when he told me, I went, "Oh, that's cool!" Like he's like a beat reporter.
Oh
Anyway, I think
man.
about that all the time.
Well, maybe he was like, I don't know. You don't
Yeah.
know what writers look like, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
So maybe he appreciated it.
Maybe. To be fair, at the time I was in a journalism program at UT, and the former editor, I think, of the Washington Post was running the school at the time, and he was like, "Nah, he needed to be taken down a peg. It's good. It's good that you didn't recognize him. Obviously, as like a fully joke, like whatever. But like, because I told everybody the story. I was like, "Hey, guess what I just did?"
Oh, brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, it was brutal. Well, speaking of nerdy things, I don't know. This is there's a thing that you do that I think is incredible on the TikTok, which is well, first of all, just like editing in general, but like your transition videos are years in the making, which is astonishing to me.
True.
How are you that well prepared for things?
Here's the thing. It's not about I wouldn't say prepared is the thing. It's just like I said before, I went to college for journalism and media communications, right? And at Otterbein, it's a small school. And like I niched myself into video and video editing when everyone else wasn't. And so like it's kind of like I studied the blade while you guys were partying. But like when it's a small school and nobody cares what you're doing with the video equipment, you're kind of the belle of the ball. You know what I mean? And you get to try so many new things, right? And so then I went into news, became a journalist. I was a video editor for 2 years, right? And so I can edit fast, I can edit quickly. And once you like, I don't know if you video edit too, but like once you know one program, or once you know how to edit or pacing or rhythm, you kind of can do it all, right? And especially if you use Avid. If you learn on Avid, ugh, it's the worst. But mainly because it's always been my like special tool in my pocket, video editing. Like it's always been my calling card. There's no one that can do this faster, quicker, and better than me, you know? And so when it came to TikTok, I lost my job and I went viral during the pandemic and things like that and stuff like that. And so during my day, there are, I don't know if people like think about video, or I don't know, this is gonna sound dumb and pretentious. I don't mean it to. Think cinematically the way I do, like constantly. Like my wife likes to tell me like there's a constant radio in my brain of how things look. And when you're consuming as much as I am, you know, it's like, how did they do that? I bet I can figure that out. I bet I can like test that, right? And sometimes those solutions don't come for many years. They don't come for like many, many years, right? And so I'm like thinking like maybe if I like switch my camera or like point it this way or that. And so there's thousands of those videos, not thousands, maybe hundreds of those videos on my phone that are just sitting there waiting, you know, just like waiting, like figuring it out. Like maybe there's a better tool for this. Maybe there's like a better software for this. Maybe there's a quicker, better way to edit this. And so there's the drafts are just sitting there, right? And so when my body did start to change, I'm like, I bet I can finally use those clips or finally figure out a way to do that, you know? And it wasn't intentional. Like I didn't like lie in wait. Like that one guy on YouTube, what's his name? What's his name? Nick Avocado? What's his name? There's a guy on YouTube.
I don't know what we're talking about.
But... Oh, there's a guy on YouTube who like came back like 1,000 pounds thinner for some reason, you know? He's like, I've been planning these videos for 2 years. Like that wasn't me at all. It just takes time to figure out how things are going to look. You know what I mean? You have to be okay with, especially when I don't know. I think it's pretentious to call my TikToks art, but
no, they are. I'll say it if you won't. Your TikToks are art.
It's it's almost as if like you have to. It takes time for the idea to come fully formed. You know what I mean? People are like, why do movies take so long? Well, there's a million people working on it, and plus, it takes time for these ideas to finish. You know, and so when it comes to, I don't know, when I posted like the first one, like when people kept noticing it, or when I stitch myself, like from years past, maybe like a thought that I had years ago doesn't fully form. Like one, I made a video the other, like last year, where I was like, is it me or is Gen Z becoming weirdly conservative? And I was like, this is kind of weird. There's something in the water. And now 2025.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Like it's, oh, I was so right. I had my finger on the pulse and everything, you know. And people didn't believe me, but I was right. And so when I stitched myself, people were like, whoa. And I don't know. When you're a creator, I don't know if you've experienced this. When it's hard to lie to yourself sometimes, because I have a digital record of everything I've said for 3 years. I don't have the luxury of lying to myself about the way I look or the way I talk, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense. It's just like, so when I look back or I finish these thoughts, it's like, whoa, maybe I do look a little different. because people look different between years. I don't know. Does that make, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I'll have people that will like reference something I said and I will have no memory of it. And I'll have to be like, that doesn't sound like me. And they're like, no, you literally said that. And then I have to like go look it up. I'm like, I sure did. You're right. You were correct. That is a thing that I put on the internet for everyone to see. But yeah, it's weird. Especially because I have these longer format ones, especially like I know you have you have a YouTube channel as well that like, you know, you're producing longer format videos on top of obviously TikToks and then podcasts. Because I have these interview shows that periodically will spiral into like other conversations about things. I'm always like, oh, what stories have I told? Which is why almost all the time I'm like, have I said this recently on an episode? Is this going to be something that like my audience is going to be like, this is the fourth time Jordan's told that Brennan story. I don't need to hear it again.
I get it. But people like us, we don't have the luxury of forgetting, you know,
Yeah.
of what we did or what we said. I don't know. It's like being on like reality TV in a weird way. You know what I mean? Like sometimes like for example, if you get into a fight with your friend, you know what I mean? Maybe you have the luxury of being softer to yourself or to the other person in a way that we can't with ourselves. And that's really sad. Not sad, but like also like hard to do, hard to think about in this digital age, because people will hold you to account on things that to the person you were several years ago. You know what I mean? Like, which is sometimes good and sometimes bad. Like we like did you hear the Amelia Perez, the lead actress in Amelia Perez, said some horrible things on Twitter.
Oh boy. Yeah.
We're like, even before Amelia Perez was ever a thing, you're like, God dang, that's you?
Yeah.
That's you? Oh God, you know, but maybe she's changed. Maybe. You know, we don't like normal people don't have that luxury or have the luxury of forgetting themselves, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, ugh.
I am terrified of the day that someone stitches a video of mine and they start the sentence, "That you?" Like it's such a like it's a thought that like I don't. There's nothing in my head where I'm like, that's the one they're gonna get me on. Like I deleted my Twitter a year and a half ago at least.
You deleted your Twitter? Oh, I couldn't do it. I it's like a graveyard for me. I just have the username so no one steals it, you know?
No, I was like, I don't need this. Because if it was a graveyard, I would keep going back to like look at things. So yeah, I was like, you won't be able to find old tweets of mine. But I was like, God, what if there is like a terrible take that I posted on here and someone's like, this you? And I'm like, oh no, I'm undone. It's just because it just takes one. It takes one of those videos and you are undone. Yeah, I don't have a thing in my head where I'm like, this is the thing they're gonna get me on, but I do sit at periodically and be like, this You video would end my career.
Dang. Well, I don't think it would end your career. Like,
I
if
do
you
hope
got
that
canceled.
yes, I hope that I have built enough goodwill with people that they'd be like, well, let's hear him out. At least some people would be like, let's let him apologize.
True. But you know what's weird, though? I don't know if this makes any sense. I keep saying that. I'm so sorry. I won't say it again. But in 2025, it turns out you can get uncanceled.
Yeah,
You
you
can
could do a
post
lot
your
of
way
bad
through
stuff.
it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
really bad stuff. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's reflective of our digital age in that we can post through it.
Yeah.
Or even gain more traction by getting canceled, which is insane to think about.
Yeah.
Like, people are more popular because they're like, Matt Rife is more popular because he was canceled. That's insane to me.
Yeah.
Did it even have any actual power, or were they all just paper tigers? You know?
Yeah. I don't want. I mean, look, if I get canceled, I don't want to have to transition to the Matt Rife side of things, where I'm like, all right, well, time to appeal to the people who like that I got canceled. That would be a nightmare. I would just
come back from it. Oh,
yeah, I would just quietly shrink back and be like, well, what if I just post positive things until people forget that I'm not a good person? Look, I was a bad person for many years. I will say that.
really?
I
What'd you do?
I was like a bully in like high school, not like physically because I'm a shrimp, but like I was mean to people because I got physically bullied. So then I was like sharp enough to be like cruel to people verbally, and so I did that, and I feel terrible about it. But like, you know, I at some point expect someone to be like, hey, this is a terrible thing Jordan said to me in high school, and I'm like, yeah, probably. I don't remember, but 100%.
Really? Like, I mean, but your bully probably never thinks about you.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
fair.
So, I mean, I still remember the worst things people have said to me, but like, do they ever think about me? Maybe. Actually, I remember. Okay, this is also a very niche story, but I remember I was at Kroger the other month. Right? Do you have Kroger? Where you? I don't want to dox you, but are you in the Midwest?
I live in Austin, Texas. I don't know if we have Kroger's here or not. But I've lived in LA and like the Midwest, so I've been to Kroger's before.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
What a great grocery store. Anyway, and someone stopped me and was like, Justin Jordan. And I was like, hello?
Ooh, full name.
Yeah, like full name too. That's another thing I slightly regret. Like, my full name is out there. I wish I had a stage name. Like, I wish like Freddie's roommate was my stage name, but like Justin Jordan's out there. Anyway, he was like, oh my gosh, I follow you on TikTok. I see your stuff. I'm like, it was the time I was doing like all the Captain America stuff, and they're like, yeah. I was like, oh yeah. And I could not figure out who this guy was. I was like, yeah, sure. And he's like, I just want to say that I'm really sorry for the way we treated you back in the day. I was like, yeah. You should be. And I was like, I could not think about what he did to me. I totally forgot what he did. Maybe it was that traumatic in my head. I was like, don't worry about it, dude. Like, yeah, no worries. I was like, dang. The fact that like they follow me and they know that they hold that in their heart that they was wrong to me, that they did me wrong. I was like, dang, what did you do?
Yeah.
Because it kind of just slid off my back 20 years later, you know?
Right.
Like, what the heck? I was just going through my mind about what possibly it could be, and I think I landed on it, but I was like, and then again, was he even in the room? Did he say that? Like, oh my gosh. Like, I still remember the worst thing someone's ever said to me. I was like, oh, one time, it was in, we were in middle school PE, right? This is content warning for bullying people. Content warning for bullying. And they had opened my locker and were throwing my gym clothes back and forth so I couldn't change, right? Like over my head. And someone, I won't call him by his name, but this person, everyone's like, stop, Justin. Or stop messing with Justin. Content warning. It's content warning. He might come in to the school and shoot us all. And everyone stopped. And then I was trying to get my clothes back. And then he says, but he'd be too dumb to remember the bullets. And I was like, oh my God.
That's I don't. That's such a specific thing to say to someone.
I
That's
know.
haunting.
Like, you can only like laugh to hide the tears. I'll never forget it, right? And the same guy, he dropped out of school and stuff like that. Like, he doesn't even like do anything with his life. It's like, dang, you had your life ahead of me. And now I'm ahead of you. I can say that now,
Yeah.
But also, like, damn, what the fuck? Who hurt you, bro? For you to say that to me? Dang, weird. I was very bullied. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, look, I imagine you also enjoyed like comic books and things as a kid.
I did, but like,
you know what I'm really bitter about? That because I'm 41 years old, which means like Marvel Renaissance of movies took place well after I was an adult, and I'm like, come on, this couldn't have happened when I was a kid. I could have told you what the Infinity Stones were. Come on, like,
interesting.
I would have been like, it would have been such a better time for me if people would have liked comic books when I was young.
Truly. So like, you were like aware. So what were you doing when like Spider-Man came out?
Like
2000, Toby.
Oh yeah. I mean, at the time, I mean, I went and saw everything in the theaters.
Right.
But like, yeah, because 2002, I would have been in college. I would have been like a freshman, sophomore in college. So like, yeah, I remember people being excited for Spider-Man, but not like I want to know more about Spider-Man's extended universe kind of thing. People were just like, yeah, the movie's fun. And I was like, yeah, but did you know? And they're like, we don't care about that part. I felt like after like the Iron Man, like the connectedness of like all of those characters. It was also because I read the Avengers a lot as a kid. So like that was where I was like, my real knowledge base was at. But yeah, like I feel like that was when, at least for me, when I started noticing people caring more about. I also, by the time like I was in college, I had found like friends that didn't care that I was a giant nerd.
Interesting, because
also in the video department at college. So like, I had met the right people at that point.
Right. Because like I was in first or kindergarten when Spider-Man 2000. It changed my life, bro. It is like that is the prime origin point of my love for movies and comic books. It's Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, and I didn't realize till much later. Sam Raimi stole a lot from Superman, Christopher Reeves. Oh my gosh, because like once you know that, everything just makes sense. Him losing his powers in the second movie, the way he talks, the whole relationships that he has, he's ripping straight off of Christopher Reeve, and you can tell. When I cried when I saw this. When did you see No Way Home and like Spider-Man No Way Home?
Yeah.
And Tobey Maguire walks through, right? And there's something like, I don't know, a seasoned Peter Parker who has figured it out to do the best he can, right? They're working on it. That it was like, oh, he's just Christopher. He stole his entire flow, Christopher Reeve. And it's so like, I don't know. It made me cry because like, I don't know. It's just, it felt like the true growth point of that character, what it needed to be for it to like him to come back. I don't know if that makes any sense. All right, I need to stop saying that. I'm so sorry.
You did it again. It makes so much sense. I can tell you my like weird origin point. I bought an X-Men comic. I believe it's X-Men 13. It's the second comic I bought. The first comic I bought was a Fantastic Four. A New Warriors comic. New Warriors 16, I believe.
New Warriors? Was that post Civil War or pre Civil War?
It would have been 91, 92. So post 80s Civil War. Or no, pre Civil War.
Pre Civil War.
Yeah, so pre Civil War. But yeah, it was Terrax, which is one of Galactus's guys, was cutting the New Warriors logo in half with his giant axe on the cover. I thought that was cool. But like, it was a fine comic book, but it was like the X-Men issue that I bought because I understood nothing that was happening in the comic because it was so complicated and so like the middle of a run. And I was like, I need to know everything that's happening. Like, I need every comic that's ever been published to understand who any of these characters are. And that was it. It was over for me at that point. I was like, all right, let's go. So
that's how they get you. That's how they get you. So you're a Marvel kid, not a
I'm
DC
a Marvel kid. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Because I don't know, when I was growing up, not growing up, but that was prime Civil War when I started like paying attention to comic books. So everything is kind of on a skew in my personal taste, and especially like the 9/11 of it all.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Which changed our media forever in a way that like you can't really replicate. I don't know if I almost said it. I didn't. You know, like I have a whole theory that our culture's response to 9/11 was superheroes. Like the whole 20 years from 2000 to 2020 is just a reaction to 9/11, which is crazy to think about.
I think that is, I don't want to say the smartest thing you've ever said because that feels insulting to other things you've said, but I've never thought of it like that before. And you are 1,000,000,000% correct. Yeah. I think because my whole world was already superheroes pre 9/11, like the outside world changed. And I was like, finally, I'm part of it. But yeah, that especially the ones that we chose were like the military superheroes. Now, to be fair, Marvel only owned those, so like they didn't have a ton of options because they had sold so many other characters off. But yeah, like I don't know. Was it you who talked? Somebody recently talked about when you center Iron Man in your universe.
I did make that video.
Yeah, that was your video. I thought that was your video. It was a really good video. I was like, yeah. It's
true.
Problem.
And it's not like, I mean, you're an Avengers kid, so like I'm not complaining about the Avengers at all because I think they're a great team to play with ideas like that, you know? Yeah. But like when you start with Iron Man, the center of your universe, someone who profits off of war, everything centers war. Every story in the MCU for those three phases are centering a war. Yeah. Or the potential of a war, or everyone becomes sort of a warrior or a soldier. Even characters like Doctor Strange becomes a warrior in a way that I don't think is true or honest to the character. I think the best Doctor Strange is when he's not in his own movie.
Yeah. Super fair.
Which is very weird to think about, you know, because like when he's in Infinity War and the last 5 minutes of Endgame, that's Doctor Strange. Perfect.
Yeah, that's what I want. Yes.
The guy where it's like, well, it's actually and the time and the blah, blah,
yeah.
And you're like,
I need this and you to say weird things.
Yes, you need to say weird things, you need to do cool shit. That's what it is. I don't need Doctor Strange to be making magical weapons. That's not what I need Doctor Strange to be, but he is. He's a warrior in the fight of Dormammu and stuff like that. And it's like, that's not a great use of as a character that I agree with. It's still fun, but like sometimes like characters like Black Panther just fit right into that like war kind of mindset. You know, what is the responsibility of a government to prevent war or cause war or fight on the behalf of other people? You know what I mean? Like that plugs in perfectly. But like Doctor Strange, and then it comes to like characters like Ant-Man's detriment. Like Hank Pym worked with like in World War II, and you're like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
you know?
Hank Pym and the Wasp, famously CIA operatives. It's like, wait, what's happening?
Exactly. But also like I can get behind a Hank Pym that doesn't hit his wife. I'm okay with that. I'm cool because like once you do that, you kind of can't use the character anymore.
Right. Wildly you can in the comics, which doesn't make any sense to me. But
you can't. Like when's the last time you had a good Hank Pym story?
I mean, yeah, that's fair. I mean, the 80s. Yeah, it's it's so funny because I hadn't really thought about that. I had a conversation with someone, and this would have been like around the first Avengers movie, where like I had to explain to them that Iron Man isn't the leader of the Avengers. And I was like, no, 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 no. I was like, I get why you think that because of the movies, but like
Right.
he's not the guy. Like that's not he might bankroll the team. Sometimes he can't because sometimes he's broke because comic books don't make any sense. We know that you can't lose that much wealth; it's impossible.
Right.
But yeah, it's. I was like, oh no, like you need like a, and I mean, also it would still slot into soldiers, but like I'm like, no, it's like a Captain America, like someone who is hopefully doing the right thing. Usually in the comics, at least, he's not on this. Like that's a thing that also I'm like, but now like when people are like, Captain America would love whatever terrible things happening. I'm like, I've seen Captain America take the A off his helmet because he's like, or no, excuse me, the eagle off his helmet because he's like, I don't work for the U.S. government. I work for the ideals that we should have. I'm like, yeah, no, that's the guy. He doesn't.
Right. Which
but
is weird
also
because
still makes a soldier universe with Cap.
it's still, which is I'm okay with, but like that sometimes I regret or I mourn the universe that we could have had.
Yeah,
because sometimes it feels as though phases. This is in the weeds. I'm so sorry, listener, if you're not into Marvel, but sometimes I feel as though phases 1 through 3 was not lived in. The ideas weren't lived in for them to fully cook and matter.
Yeah.
In like such a different way. Like something like Sokovia Accords shouldn't be repealed in an offhanded joke on She-Hulk.
Yeah.
You know, it should matter. Like, but like, remember when, I don't know, you've read comic books, like when Civil War was happening, Iron Man was showing up in every other comic book being like, have you signed the Accord yet? What is your position on the Accords? You know what I mean? Like, in a way that like, I wish it was lived in, which is why I love Age of Ultron. That's my favorite Avengers movie. And I know I get so much flack for that. And I get it. It's off, like the stuff they do with Black Widow, completely awful. I cannot defend it.
Right.
But I like the lived in parts of that universe where the Avengers are an institution. They get together every Friday. They find new heroes. New heroes are added, separated. People come in and out of the team. They have, I guess, effects on the universe, and other characters have opinions on them. And so when you don't have like a spine to the universe, for like phases 4, 5, and 6 feel empty and combobulated. It doesn't flow the same way. And I'm not saying we need Avengers, but we need a spine of the universe, and the multiverse saga isn't a strong enough spine.
Yeah, well, especially now that we've like lost it. I don't know what's happening. Marvel's in so much. It's such a predicament.
I mean, like characters like Sam Wilson.
Yeah,
he shouldn't have Falcon and this Winter Soldier. Why is he not leading the Avengers? That's step number 1. We need to all these characters need to group up or snake through each other's stories in a way that
my favorite episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier was the second to last episode, which was the only episode where they were like hanging out, being friends. I'm like, but that's the show. I know you won't do it, but like, give me a lived-in universe of like, all right, these people exist, and like have to do things. And then the final episode where they the bad guys kidnap the people who vote on the thing, and we're gonna hold them hostage until we get the vote. And it's like, but you kidnapped the people who vote. They can't vote. You've kidnapped them. Your plan doesn't make sense. You got to kidnap people they care about to get them to vote. Like this doesn't. Who wasn't thinking your plan through anyway? And now we've got Captain America, the Captain America story. I don't know what the name of the next movie is.
Brave New World.
Brave New World. That's it. Yes.
Are you not pumped?
I mean, are people pumped? I don't feel like anyone's excited about it.
I'm pumped. Maybe because I'm a black man with a Captain America suit.
Hey, no, I'm really excited about Sam Wilson. I love Sam Wilson Cap. I think it's fantastic. Also, I like Red Hulk. I don't love Red Hulk.
Interesting.
But I'm curious what maybe I just haven't seen a lot of it. Like maybe Fantastic Four stole all of the thunder from my excitement because that trailer came out and I lost my mind about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, this is so interesting to me because I have the exact opposite reaction. Interesting.
I'm just like, I think because it feels unconnected to the
Right.
MCU. I was like, great, let's do it. Let's tell a story that like
Really?
is its own thing instead of what if this movie has another tie. I mean, I'm sure they're going to tie it in. I'm sure it'll be like, but like if it's just a post-credit scene that ties it in, I'll be so happy instead of like a let's shoehorn in MCU this because this is the 60s and now we have to tie in. I don't know. I also did
Wow.
audibly say "stop it" to my computer when I saw Galactus' shadow. I got real excited he wasn't a cloud.
Interesting. I feel like I feel like it has to connect. I feel as though when you let these stories down the vine, it's a detriment. You know what I mean? Like I I was okay about Shang-Chi, but Shang-Chi instantly goes lower on the list because it's just kind of out there.
Yeah.
You know what
Well,
I mean?
it's
Like
because they didn't follow it up with any. Like, I'm
yeah,
fine. Like,
exactly.
if I want a standalone that like then moves something forward instead of oh, God, I wanted to say Guardians. What's there's a giant the Earth is an egg.
Eternals.
Eternals, yes. Like that post credit scene is such a bummer because I like those characters, and they're like, hey, look, it's Harry Styles, and I'm like, wait, what's happening? And then like, we're not doing this. Just kidding. Like, I don't know. It feels like they're just throwing everything they can to try and figure out, especially now that Kang is out. They're like, what about Robert Downey Jr. Doctor Doom? Which is, I don't know what they're doing.
Well,
I mean, I get the monetary decision.
I understand the monetary decision too, and like if you squint, I can understand why. It's a wild play. Let's see if it pays off. But like, I think I like in a functioning, not functioning, it is functioning, but like in a trusted universe, I
Yes.
think we lost a lot of trust, and I think we can't understate how much the pandemic affected the everything about movie making. But also, like in a trusted universe, we would have faith that they would deliver on that premise of Eternals of Harry Styles, right?
Yeah.
But like things like even the worst Marvel movies back in the day were helped by the interconnectivity. So it's interesting that you said like I don't want it to connect to anything. Like things like remember like in Endgame when Thor the Dark World suddenly mattered?
Yeah, I do.
And you're like, "Oh." And that movie is now infinitely higher because of its like interconnectivity. It mattered. And I know like there's the Dark World lovers out there, but like come on, let's be real.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not the
not.
strongest one. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But like to make these things like cut outable. Like remember when Echo came out and everyone was like they said like, oh, it's a Marvel spotlight. You don't have to watch anything, even though it had Kingpin and Daredevil
Right.
in it.
Yeah.
Okay. That I feel as though that's like a kiss of death that's not connected to anything because we forget how much the rewatchability and the guy in the next to you in the theater who's your friend is like, actually that's in Loki episode 3, you know. Like we underestimate that, and I think that's one of the reasons why Deadpool and Wolverine was so successful because like it mattered, it connected, and it had stakes for the future in a
That's
way that like
fair. Look,
other ones didn't, you
you
know what I
might be
mean?
right. Yes. I think because we've been a year off from like an MCU proper,
Interesting.
that like I don't know. And what was the last one before this? Was it Thor? Love and
Deadpool and
Thunder?
Wolverine, I think it was the Marvels.
The Marvels?
Agatha All Along also came out last year too.
Yeah. Oh God, and Secret Invasion came out. Oh boy.
We don't talk about Secret Invasion.
Yikes on bikes.
What a waste of a premise.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Secret Invasion implies that Rhodey does not know that Tony died.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There are so many moments in Secret Invasion where I'm like, what are we doing? Like, not like, because they're like, hey, when you shoot them, they turn back into aliens. They're like, great, then shoot him. And you shoot him in front of the president then. Why are you waiting? What are we doing? He'll turn back into his blood is purple. What do you should just shoot him anywhere. He'll be purple. They'll
because
be like,
what if you're wrong? What if you're wrong?
But it was Sam Jackson. He knows he's not wrong. Yeah, that show was something. But yeah, the Marvels was fun, and then I forgot about it instantly.
Wow, damn, that's
like,
damning. That's really damning. Even though it's like the culmination of WandaVision,
Captain Marvel,
and Miss Marvel.
Yeah,
which is interesting for you to say. And I don't know if this is mean to say, but like, I feel as though I don't want to cater to the awful fanboys on the internet. You know what I mean? But we have to give Brie Larson something to do. Yes. Some good script to chew on, right? I don't think she can play stoic anymore. Give her something. And in a real Marvel universe, a lived-in one, you just put Captain Marvel on the Avengers. Because when she's in a space by herself, it can feel cold. But if you put Miss Marvel and She-Hulk in a room together, boom, 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 it just bounces off each other. Or like anybody, Star-Lord, Gamora, anybody, you know, she needs someone to play off of so that the stoicness makes sense. Like, the best scene of Captain Marvel's career is that one scene in Endgame where she comes down, she's like, okay, I'm gonna go kill Thanos now. And he was like, what the fuck? Who are you? She's like, you're gonna stop me? And then Thor does the hammer thing, and I was like, that's Captain Marvel. That's how you do it. Yeah. You know? And then she leaves. Why?
Yep. And she's like, why? Because they made a universe of soldiers, and if Captain Marvel's there, she stops every problem.
I don't think that's true. I don't think you have to do that because Vision exists,
but they don't know what to do with Vision.
I don't think Captain Marvel's that powerful at all. I think she's as powerful as Thor. You know what I mean?
But he also leaves most of the time.
That's the problem. Like, Thor's not catching purse snatchers. And I don't need him to. But, like, when he's a soldier and all he can fight is wars, the problem has to be big enough for a war for justify Thor and Captain Marvel and all the other heroes. And I'm saying that's the skew that we're on. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I think also Marvel has overreacted to the worst parts of the internet screaming about things too often. And that also is much to their detriment. But yeah, like, I was real excited for, like, you know, I like Kang. I like that storyline. I thought it was gonna be fun. Obviously, that's gone forever. And this, God, look, I have a ticket. I'm excited in theory for Brave New World. I hope it's great. I want Sam Wilson to be the Captain America that he does in the movies that he deserves to be, because he's such a kick-ass Cap when he is Cap in the comics. Like, let him go lead the Avengers. What would it have to do
for you to think it's a good movie? Like, what specifically are you looking for? I'm very curious.
Look, I mean, at this point, I just want to have fun. Just let me have some fun for a couple of hours. I don't need it. I don't need it to be multiversal. That's the thing I don't need.
Wow. Okay.
Like, I just let me, like, establish. What I want it to do is I want it to establish Sam Wilson as Captain America in, like, the next time we see Avengers, he is leading the Avengers, and it makes sense in the MCU. Like, it makes sense in my heart and head because I know Sam can and does lead the Avengers. But yeah, like, let Cap be Cap. That's it.
Fair,
that's what I want. Let him be the Steve Rogers that you and I know he can and should be. Because his show was kind of a mess, and like,
I liked it until it was kind of. I think it needed to. I think it withdrew its punch at the end.
Yeah. And it was another one where Marvel did the very bad thing where they're like, the villains are right, by the way. And you're like, yeah, they're super right. And they're like, and now they're going to blow up an orphanage. I'm like, well, I can't root for them now. But like, they were right up until that point.
Exactly. But like someone like Captain Communication, Sam Wilson, that's a good threat for him. So I don't have a problem with that. But like, I feel like it just pulled its punch at the very end, and I didn't want it to. Like, I don't think John Walker needed to be quote unquote redeemed, you know? Yeah. And like, what a great concept of a character. Like, I hate John Walker. Yeah. Great job. Yeah. I hate that motherfucker. What a wonderful piece of the universe that now I'm so glad he didn't die. I'm so glad we can see him again, and like he's in Thunderbolts and stuff like that, so I can hate him even more. But it's just don't pull your punch at the very end.
Decapitated someone with a shield. You can let me hate him for at least 3 more episodes. Like, you don't have to have him catch a van at the end to be like, nah, he is a good guy at heart. He just sometimes get a little rambunctious. Like, no, just let him be a bad cap.
Just let him be a bad cap.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Well, I'm still excited for Fantastic Four. I don't care what you say. I want...
I'm excited too. I'm just cautious.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not in a place. To be fair,
I was going to ask you to rank the Fantastic Four movies because they've all been bad.
Ooh, no, they're not bad. I genuinely don't think they're bad.
Fant Four Stick is pretty bad.
Okay, I think that's good. Up until I recently rewatched them all.
Might be the best one.
No. I think 2005, excellent movie. I think here's my hot take. I think we're all doing revisionist history on Fantastic Four 2005. I was there. People loved that movie, and not like ironic.
They made a sequel. Like people enjoyed it enough to make a sequel.
It made money. The sequel. But also, like I said before, the military-industrial complex really shows its ass in Rise of the Silver Surfer. That's a whole nother podcast. But number one, Tim Story's Fantastic Four 2005, excellent movie. I think the MCU takes a lot of notes from that movie. If we're being honest, I think you can take that team, probably recast Chris Evans, and throw them into the MCU, no problem. I think they would fit perfectly fine. That thing, Michael Chiklis, The Thing, is really good.
Really like, good casting.
All the notes. What I give to be invisible. Oh my! He rips out your heart. You know, or when he goes to the bar and he tries to sit on the stool and it goes through, and everyone starts laughing at it, and the bartender's like, "Hey, that's the first mook from Brooklyn to go to outer space. Show him respect." That's the lived-in universe that I want. People have reactions about these people, like, oh my gosh. Or remember when The Thing, like his wife drops the ring on the street and he can't pick it up because his fingers are too big? And Reed has to pick it up. Great writing. Like 100% great. Number one, 2005, Tim Story. Okay. Number two, I guess Rise of the Silver Surfer. It falls apart.
You can throw 94 in there if you want to add 94 in there.
That's not a movie. That's a tax evasion tactic.
Such a bummer. Was it Roger Corman that did that one?
Roger Corman's Fantastic Four. It's not a real movie. I love
that they didn't tell him. That's my favorite part. Everyone's trying so hard, and the studio just fully knows we're never releasing this to the public.
Here's the thing. Like that was a what's it called? A legal loophole. Like the same reason why we're getting all these Sony villain movies is the same reason they did Roger Corman's Fantastic Four. Let's all be honest.
Gotta keep those rights.
So that one goes in dead last, honestly. Okay. And Fan Four Stick was really good up until they did a time jump. It was good. Like that's the thing about I wish people didn't think they had to fix the Fantastic Four or characters like Superman and Batman, because I don't think you need to fix them. I think that's the point. And I think Fan Four Stick tries to fix the Fantastic Four by putting them with the military. Ben is like he's like serving in wars and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like it, and then Reed's on the run for like a long time. But up until that point, the problems that I do have with the movie, Sue doesn't go on the mission
Oh, I don't remember it now at
Why
all.
did not that makes zero sense to me. But they
Yeah,
replace her with Doctor Doom, who goes on a mission and gets left behind. But I do think the transformation sequences brilliant, well made and well directed and everything. I think the suits are kind of creative. I don't like the all black. I wish they had a little blue in there. The realizations of the powers once they have them, pretty good. But and then it says 5 years later, and then the movie just completely falls apart.
that's fair.
Unbelievably falls apart. You're like,
Yeah,
what the fuck?
yeah,
Why would they do this?
yeah,
But I don't know. I don't like a lot of times we like, I don't know if you're in these internet spaces where like they're like, I think we should make Magneto black. Because yeah, I'm like, no. Like, I mean, I think these characters live in ideas in certain periods of time, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, I think now in 2025, characters like Charles Xavier are now unusable because authors keep trying to fix them or explain why they did certain things or like did certain actions, and then the explanation just becomes worse and worse and worse and worse over time. And so you get characters like Charles Xavier, who's like made a child army and sent characters like to their deaths knowingly, and you're like, now we can't use Charles Xavier on the X-Men. Now we can't. And that sucks. You know what I mean? I feel the same way about like characters like Scooby Doo and things like that. Like, let them breathe in the time period and the ideas that they were made in. You know, and so when like, I don't know, Fantastic Four comes around and they're making the '60s fantastic. That's great. That's wonderful. I don't need you to change what they stand for. And what characters like Reed Richards are the real danger of that. You know,
yeah,
like I don't know, like I think there was a whole period of time where everyone thought Reed Richards was a dick. And yeah, he is. But at the same time, you have to like Reed Richards for the Fantastic Four to work.
yeah,
Or it falls apart. You have to like him, or you at least believe in him at a certain period of time for the concept to work. And it just completely falls apart. You know, you have to believe in Charles Xavier at a certain period of time, or else it doesn't work. You have to believe in Superman for you to make Man of Steel work. But if you don't believe that someone is ultimately good or could be that good, you get Zack Snyder's Man of Steel,
oh
and
man.
it's just you know, I don't know. What do you think, Jordan?
No, I think you're. I think here's what I'll say. This will be the hottest take of the podcast from me, at least. The Ultimate Universe has done more to ruin Marvel brand
Oh,
than anything in the last 30 years. And Reed Richards is a prime example of that. Of like, what if he was
really?
super evil? And like, I love the Maker. Like, give me like, I'm fine
Right.
with you like making an evil version, but people want that to be prime version. They want the like gory awfulness. Obviously, Miles comes out of the Ultimate Universe, and I love Miles, and I can't fault that. But that was the one. Look, there's a reason why in the Secret Wars comic books, Miles is the one that comes over when they're collapsing the universes, because they're like, well, we want to keep him. How do we destroy everything else and keep him? Like, what if he has a cheeseburger in his pocket? Like, great, send him on over.
That was a weird decision now that I think about it. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
Miles is so great because there's no Peter Parker. I
Yes.
think Miles can only this is my hot take. I think Miles Morales can only work if Peter Parker is dead. I
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
because he I think our culture, I don't know, this is a wild take, but I think our culture can only hold so many spider people at once. I think we get two Spider-Man, a Spider Girl or woman, and an evil Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Anybody else above that, it's you might as well forget about it, you know? Because back in my day, instead of this Gwen Stacy, we had Spider Girl. We had Mayday Parker. And that was it. There was no other Spider lady. Like, forget Spider Woman. We had Mayday Parker. That's what we were talking about. But now it's Spider Gwen. I think our culture can only hold so many. But if everyone's special in Spider Man, then nobody's Spider Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
fair.
because characters like Peter Parker are so stuck in like legal, how do I say this? This legal limbo where they can't grow. So you're like, let's do everything cool with Miles, but he's the other Spider-Man, so he can't go to past a certain point. He can't be a main member of the Avengers. We'll put him on the Champions. Yeah. You know what I mean? And characters like Peter Parker should be elder statesmen of the universe in the comics now, but he isn't for some reason. Right. He's still, you know what I mean? I don't know if you have
he's still like 29, and I mean, I don't know how old Peter is in current day comic books. Also, I really like the Champions. That was a fun team.
Fun team. Yeah, didn't go anywhere at the end, unfortunately.
No, it sure didn't.
Weird.
Yeah. Oh, Nova will forever have my heart, because Nova was a member of the New Warriors, my first comic book I ever read, and so that was why I was like forever. I'm like, but what if? But Nova's awesome, every iteration of him, except for the MCU version where they didn't do anything with him. Like, what if they just flew spaceships? I'm like, give him a helmet, let him go. Anyway,
I think you still can't. Now there's no Nova Corps left, which is weird. Yeah. Like, you just deleted them all?
Yeah.
Dang. All right. Jeez.
Yeah.
But like
in an off-screen scene.
In an off-screen, like what the fuck? Dang. Yeah. I wonder what like ideas like that just off into the ether, just like thrown away. I'm like, damn, really, Kevin? You couldn't do anything with Nova?
Yeah.
All right then.
Yeah.
You know, like, but then characters like Warriors get the whole like a similar treatment. You know, like the inciting incident in Civil War. Is it the Champions or the Warriors that fuck up?
In Civil War, it's Thunderbolts that explode.
No,
they may be called are they called the Warriors at that point?
Yeah, it was Speedball and someone else.
Yes,
and then they were facing Nitro next to a school, and it blows up, and you're like, oh, and that's the inciting incident of which is also crazy to think about, like the timing that was in, because it was a bomb. It was next to a school.
Yeah.
Also, school shootings were like still a conversation back then. Harm against children was a huge conversation, and we still haven't fixed it. Insane. But anyway.
Well, this has been absolutely delightful. I hope people love this real weedy conversation about
I'm
Marvel.
So sorry, Jordan.
No, I love it. I never get to talk about this stuff because I niched too hard, and I want to talk about this stuff. Justin, this has been so much fun. If people want to find you on the internet, where can they find you? They already know where, but just in case.
You can find me wherever toys are sold. That's on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and all the other places at Freddie's Roommate.
And who is Freddie, for people who may not know?
He's my dog. Yeah. I have a picture of him right here.
Freddie rules. Amazing. Thank you so much. This has been super fun. I don't know how to end an interview, so I'm just going to hit stop recording.